Good morning, Saturday, July 11th. We are live on Rumble and YouTube for another edition of Inside the Numbers. Nobody in the chat right now on Rumble or YouTube. So we're going to start going over some of these games right now. We have an early game going on right now. I'm going to have a play on this game on the Brewers and Pirates. In fact, I'm going to get this play in probably within. So if I pause, I'm going to get this play in over on my exclusive channel on sportsconsultants.locals.com. So no Grass Guy today. He sent me a message that he won't be able to join in. So it'll probably be a quick stream. We're just going to go over some Major League Baseball, give you a recap of my night last night. I went 1-1 in Major League Baseball, 2-0 in the WNBA because I did a live bet on a game last night, and 1-0 in the Canadian Football League game. So it was a pretty good night last night. Overall, obviously, the one game that I had got postponed, which was the Brewers and Pirates. I lost on the Orioles and Royals going over the total, but I hit with the Blue Jays and Padres staying under the total. I also did a live bet last night at the last minute on the Colorado Rockies and the San Francisco Giants. The Rockies were down 2-1. I did a live bet on the Rockies with some very good value. And lo and behold, the Rockies wound up pulling that game out in the end there. So it was a nice little payday on that one. So if you guys can take advantage of live betting, do it. Because if you have that opportunity, because you can find some great value, especially when it's late in the game, see how games are going, do some live betting, and you can make some money that way. Okay, let me see here. For some reason, I can't see. I don't have anything going on in the chat right now. So I'm going to go back in here and see. Yeah, nobody's in the chat today. I got 2 viewers. You guys can chime in when you want, even if you're lurkers or whatever. Where I'm here to help you guys out every way I can. So let's get started here in Major League Baseball with the first game that's going to start here at noon Eastern. And this is a game that got rained out yesterday, so it's the same pitching matchup. Milwaukee Brewers, Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm going to give you some numbers on 2 different sources that I got here. The Pirates opened up at -105 down to -103. 55% of the tickets, 50% of the money is on the Pirates. The run line is at 1.5 to the Pirates at 39% of the tickets, 94% of the money, 55% sharp action. Likes the Pirates. Total opened up at 8, up to 8.5. 67% of the tickets, 76% of the money, 9% sharp action. Likes the over. Let's go over here on my other site here. The Brewers. 79% of the tickets, 86% of the money likes the Brewers. And now we're talking about game 1 here. And the total, like I said, went from 8 to 8.5. 82% of the tickets, 83% of the money likes the over. So do as you will with that. Second game here. Let's go over. This game starts at 2 o'clock Eastern. Athletics at White Sox. We saw last night the White Sox completely obliterated the Athletics last night. I gave out a free play. I actually gave out 2 free plays. I gave out, unfortunately, they both lost because I gave out this game under the total last night. And obviously, it didn't go under. So here we go with the Athletics. Opened up at -115 down to -105. 33% of the tickets, 92% of the money, 59% sharp action likes the Athletics today. The Athletics are on the run line at -1.5, 27%. 27% of the bets, 91% of the money, 64% sharp action is on the run line for the Athletics. Bear with me. One of my sons is calling me right now. So let's go over finish going over this game. Total opened up at 9, down at 8.5. 58% of the tickets, 46% of the money likes the over. We have 42% of the tickets, 54% of the money, 12% sharp action on the under. Let's check it out over here. Now, we got some different numbers over here. On the White Sox, 69% of the tickets, and only 28% of the money likes the White Sox here. Looks like an athletics play to me. And also the total going from 9 to 9.5. 52% of the tickets, 17% of the money is on the over. On the other side, we have 48% of the tickets and 83% of the money likes under the total. Actually, Ed, I like that game going under the total, to be honest with you. All signs point towards the under. Based on what the numbers are doing right now and what I'm looking at right now, the under in that game actually looks like the play. You got to remember, the White Sox put up, I believe, 14 runs last night. So I think this game is an under on this game. And I'm looking at another site here with 43% of the tickets and 54% of the money on the under. So, yeah, I think this is an under spot here on this game. Let's check out the next game here. Again, we got a game that's starting here in less than a half an hour, about 20 minutes. I'm going to get a play in here. If I take a pause here, that's because I'm putting my pick in. So bear with me because I do like this first game. Next game starts at 2 o'clock Eastern as well. Angels at Twins. The Twins open up at minus 186 down to minus 175. 89% of the tickets, 98% of the money, 9% sharp action likes the Twins today. They also like the Twins on the run line at minus 1.5. What's up, the Ninja? I don't think we got anybody over on the YouTube side. Let me check here. Yeah, nobody on the YouTube side right now. The 1.5 in favor of the Twins is 68% of the tickets, 97% of the money, 29% sharp action likes that minus 1.5. Total sits at 9. 43% of the tickets, 86% of the money, 43% sharp action likes the over. Let's go over here and give you the other numbers here. The Twins, 85% of the tickets, 88% of the money likes the Twins. As for the total is kind of split over here. 54% of the tickets and 58% of the money likes the over. Based on this, what I'm seeing right now, I kind of lean the over in this game. Next game, this is game 2 for the Brewers and Pirates. Now, it's tough to put a wager on game 2 without knowing what the outcome is on game 1 because you don't know what's going to happen, how many players from game 1 are going to be playing in game 2 because they did have a night off last night. So some of these players may want to just get this game in because they were all fired up for yesterday. Now they have to play a doubleheader. So we don't know how the reaction for game 2 is. So I would not put a wager down on game 2 until you know what happens in game 1. And a lot of times in game twos tend to go over the total. So just a little word of advice there, food for thought. So game 2 with Brewers and Pirates. Brewers sit at 131 down to minus 126 for game 2. 77% of the tickets, 95% of the money, 18% sharp action likes the Brewers. They also are at 1.5. 33% of the tickets, 59% of the money, 26% sharp action likes the 1.5. Total opened up at 8.5 up to 9. 57% of the tickets, 97% of the money, 40% sharp action likes the over. Now, we don't know how much money is being put on this game right now. These are just early numbers because it is game 2. I don't have any game 2 numbers here on my other site, so that's all I have for now. This game starts at 4 Eastern. Next game, Yankees at Nationals, and the Yankees have their ace going today in Schitler. So use that one there. But as for this game, the Yankees open up at minus 199. They're at minus 198 with 89% of the tickets and 66% of the money likes the Yankees. We do have a small 23% sharp action likes the Nationals today. Yeah, that's interesting too, Grifter. I think it boils down to who's pitching for the Angels. That's probably why that total's so high today. It boils down to the Angels pitcher and the Angels bullpen. But I agree with you with Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan could be lights out. He may give up a run. He may give up two, but then all the runs I think are going to probably come from the Twins side. The run line for the Yankees is at -1.5. 70% of the tickets, 33% of the money likes that 1.5. Total sits at 9. This is interesting too as well because on the under, we have 57% of the bets, 88% of the money, 31% sharp action likes the under. On my other site here, as for the Yankees here, 60% of the bets, 86% of the money likes the Yankees total wise. 73% of the tickets, 79% of the money likes the over. I actually lean under in this on this site on this particular game here. What's up, Jamie? Again, we have nobody on the YouTube side, probably because everybody is on Rumble, but I am broadcasting to both streams right now. Another game. This is a game I won last night on last minute betting. I did some live betting on the Rockies and Giants last night. I think it was like the 8th or 9th inning that I jumped in on the Rockies, and I hit that. I also took the under, but I cashed out early when the Giants started putting men on base in the 9th inning. So I cashed out early for I think it was like 85% of my wager. So because I was afraid that the Giants were going to just tie the game up, so I got out early. So that's not one nice thing you can do on live betting on the predictive markets. Yeah, Jamie, that miscellaneous bet hit last night, didn't it? That WNBA play. I had the over last night in that Sparks game last night, and that thing soared over the total. I know I had one of my followers came in. He fell asleep and came in and said, "Hey, can I take this game at 194 over?" And I said, "It's probably not a good idea." And it wasn't a good idea because it stayed under 194. It went over the original total of 176.5. I believe the final score was 189 total. So that was a nice win last night for the WNBA. And along, I said I had the Winnipeg Blue Bombers last night at +3.5 because I know I posted +2, but over on the predictive market, I only can take 3.5 as the closest to 2. So that was a no-brainer because they actually won the game outright. Okay, let's get to the Rockies and Giants right now. The Giants open up at -156. They're at -149. 82% of the bets, 69% of the money is on the Giants today. They're also on the Giants -1.5. 36% of the bets, 81% of the money, 45% sharp action likes that run line. We have another total with no sharp action here. 8.5 it sits at with 78% of the tickets and 78% of the money likes the over. I actually like the under again. It's hard for games to go over the total at Giant Stadium just due to the weather. It's been cool up there. I think it's only been like in the 60s up there lately. And they do get that cool air coming off the ocean and the bay. So I like the under again in this game. Let's go over to this game on the other side here. On the Giants, 51% of the tickets, 76% of the money likes the Giants. I can see the Giants rebounding in this game too. I know there's a lot of money on this game, but I can see the Giants rebounding. As for the total, 8.5, 88% of the tickets, 98% of the money likes the over 8.5. I like the under. What are you saying, Jamie? Kalshi doesn't reliably give you the median spread. They'll use the quoting price as well when you're using those picks. Price doesn't matter. I took money line because I thought the line had moved. Are you talking about the Canadian football game last night? If so, yeah, the value was actually taking the Blue Bombers on the money line. I'll have a play tonight in the game against I think it's Montreal tonight against Calgary. I'll have a play later on that today. I may even have another WNBA action because and hey, take note of this. Unders are starting to hit in the Canadian Football League. The last night's game went under the total. So take note of that. I think the odds makers are adjusting those lines, those totals now, and games are starting to go under. So that's kind of a good sign because all these games were flying over the total, but we're starting to see split action now with games going over and under. Okay, now next game starts at 4 o'clock Eastern. Bear with me right now. I got to get a play in right now, so I'm going to pause here for a second because I do have some action going on this first game right now with the Pirates and the game one with the Brewers and Pirates. This is the game that was supposed to be played last night. I'm going to double check my numbers here, so bear with me because I am putting in some action right now on this game as we speak. I'm not. It's over on my exclusive page on sportsconsultants.locals.com. Just checking some final numbers here to see where we're sitting. So bear with me as I pause here. I know I was getting ready to go over to the Indians game and the Marlins. So bear with me here. Yep, I'm going to get my action in right now on this game because it's starting here in roughly 10 minutes. Haven't decided what I'm doing on Switzerland or Argentina. You know what, Jamie? I think FIFA would love nothing more than for Argentina to win the World Cup because you've got one of the most popular players in the league with Messi, and that would be something else for FIFA. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Argentina win it all. I know France is the favorite to win it all, but don't be shocked to see Argentina win it all. I just don't trust FIFA. Hang on a second. Why is this showing me that Kalshi's still showing me that I have a wager on this game? All right. I still got a wager on this game. They kept it in from last night. So I still got a wager on this game. So I just posted it over on my locals channel, sportsconsultants.locals.com. I posted my pick for this first game. So that start here in about roughly probably 10, 15 minutes. This game is going to start yet. It's going to start, and they kept my wager in from last night over on Kalshi. So it's still in there. So there's no change in that action. So I'm going to keep it there. Okay, let's go on to the next game here. I said it was going to be the Indians and the Twins. This game starts again at 4 o'clock Eastern. The Marlins, minus 149 to minus 155. They are at 80% tickets, 99% of the money, and 19% sharp action. Likes the Marlins here. As for the run line, minus 1.5, 33% of the tickets, 65% of the money, 32% sharp action. Likes the Marlins at minus 1.5. Total sits at 8, has not moved. Tickets are split to the over and the under, but we do have 57% of the money and 7% sharp action likes the under 8. Okay, let's take a look over here. We have 66% of the tickets and 78% of the money likes the Marlins. Total wise at 8, 68% of the bets, 76% of the money is on the over. All right, there's some disarray with this team with the Mariners. Mariners at Rays. I've heard some players speaking out and things like that. It's just I think they've got some chaos over there in the Mariners locker room. So let's take a look at this. Mariners open up at 105, minus 105. They're still at minus 105. Tickets are split between the Rays and the Marlins at 50%, but we do have 83% of the money and 33% sharp action likes the Mariners. They also like the Mariners at minus 1.5. 23% of the tickets, 96% of the money, 73% sharp action likes the minus 1.5. Total went from 7.5 down to 7. 56% of the tickets and 36% of the money likes the over. We have 20% sharp action on the under. All right, let's take a look what's going on over here. Tickets are split as well, with a slight edge to the Rays at 52%. The total at 7.5, 60% of the tickets, 56% of the money likes the under. So we're kind of split here on both sides here. As of right now, I know this game doesn't start for quite a few hours. I have no opinion on this game based on those numbers. Red Sox at Mets. Believe it or not, the Mets are favored again. They were favored last night and they lost outright to the Red Sox. They're favored again today. So odds makers know something here. The Mets open up at minus 149. They're now up to minus 157. 39% of the tickets, 65% of the money, 26% sharp action likes the New York Mets. 1.5 is the minus 1.5 is the run line for the Mets at 18% of the tickets, 63% of the money, 45% sharp action likes that minus 1.5. Total went from 8.5 to 8. 75% of the tickets, but only 15% of the money likes the over. On the under, 25% of the tickets, 85% of the money, 60% sharp action likes the under. Let's go over here on that game and see what we got here. Okay, Red Sox, 63% of the tickets, 43% of the money likes the Red Sox. As for the total, 79% of the tickets, 92% of the money likes the over. Right now, I think if there's any play on this game, I like the under. And if you want to sprinkle a little bit on the New York Mets, they may bounce back in this game. The Red Sox have been hot lately, but I think the fire gets cooled off today. That's just my opinion right now. Obviously, a lot can change from now until 4 o'clock Eastern. This game starts at 6 o'clock Eastern, which is the Phillies and the Tigers. Tigers took care of the Phillies last night. Let's see what happens today because the Phillies are favored. Minus 136 up to minus 143. 73% of the tickets, 75% of the money, 2% sharp action likes the Phillies. They also like the Phillies on the run line slightly. 33% of the tickets, 52% of the money, 19% sharp action likes that 1.5. Total went from 7 to 7.5 with 65% of the tickets, 74% of the money, 9% sharp action likes the over. Over on this side, Tigers, 58% of the tickets and only 43% of the money likes the Tigers. As for the total, 59% of the tickets and 53% of the money likes the under. Still kind of split there. We'll see what happens with this game later on. We got over 9 hours before this game starts. 7 Eastern here. Houston Astros at the Texas Rangers. Rangers open up at minus 126. They're down to minus 120. 45% of the tickets, 56% of the money, 11% sharp action likes the Rangers. We had a flip through zero here too on the run line. The Rangers open up at minus 1.5. They are now plus 1.5. The Astros are minus 1.5 now. But on the plus 1.5 side for the Rangers, 75% of the tickets, 93% of the money, 18% sharp action. Total sits at 8.5. 54% of the tickets, 87% of the money, 33% sharp action likes the over. What you guys saying in the chat? Oh, Blue, you're gay. Hi. Thank you. Join the crowd. So am I. Closet. Let's see. Let's find this game over here. Okay, here we go. Astros, 61% of the tickets, 55% of the money. So it sounds like all the sharp money is going on the Rangers here. Total sits at 8.5 over here. They got 76% of the tickets, 95% of the money likes the Astros. Remember, these are all early numbers. A lot can change before these games start. Here we go. Next game. And this game starts at 7 Eastern as well. This game let me down last night with the total. There were opportunities here. The Orioles were really taking it to the Royals pitching, but they just couldn't get that over on there. So they wound up staying under 10.5. I think the final score was 9 on the board. Orioles opened up at minus 163. They are down to minus 157. 81% of the tickets, 85% of the money, 4% sharp action likes the Orioles. On the other side, though, they like the Royals at plus 1.5. It's 62% of the tickets, 67% of the money, 5% sharp action likes the plus 1.5. Total sits at 9. 43% of the tickets, 84% of the money, 41% sharp action likes the over. I'm going to give one more numbers, and then I'm going to give an opinion on things I look for. Let me find this game over here. Orioles, 54% of the tickets, 32% of the money likes the Orioles. On the total, 59% of the bets, 87% of the money likes the over. I think this game might go over. Now, I'm just going to give my opinion here when it comes to totals in any sport. I prefer to play unders. I know sometimes I play overs only because on unders, you're already winning the game before the first pitch is thrown. You're depending, you don't have to, you're already winning the game compared to an over. On an over, you need people to score. On an under, you don't want people to score. So you've always got an edge playing the unders just because there's no run score. You're winning the game before the first pitch is even thrown. So that's why I prefer unders in any sport, because you got to depend on teams to score. And when teams don't score, it's all in your favor. So just a little food for thought there. This game starts at the same time, 7 Eastern. Chicago Cubs at the Cincinnati Reds. I believe this game was delayed last night, and they got this game in too. Not like the Braves and the Braves and the Cardinals, man. That game was delayed a long time, but they did get the game in. I wound up doing a live bet on the Cardinals, and they came in at the end there and won that game 2-1. So that was a nice little pick because when they went up, I was waiting to see if the Braves were going to score anymore when it was up 1-1. 1-0, and then the Cardinals went up 1-1. I jumped on the Cardinals. That's some good value. Yeah, you're right, Jamie. Sometimes that does happen, but sometimes, like last night, we saw the Blue Jays put up all those runs in the first inning against the Padres, and that game still went under the total. So something to think about there too, because we've seen this happen before, where teams put up all kinds of runs in like the first inning, and then they never score again. And that's exactly what happened last night with the Blue Jays and the Padres. That game ended 5-2, and the total was at 8.5, and that game went under the total. I know a lot of people got screwed yesterday with the Dodger game because Shohei Ohtani got pulled because he's got something wrong with his knee, and that total shot up, and that game wound up soaring over the total. I wound up jumping on the Diamondbacks live betting, and obviously that play came through. So it's hard for me to post in my subscription all the live betting that I do, just because the live betting is quick. You got to do it fast when things happen. And it's hard to post something. Hey, I just jumped on this. Hey, I jumped on that. So, you use your discretion there when you start seeing some things with live betting, because you may see some action in there for live betting to be able to jump in on things. Okay, let's go over this Cubs and Reds game. The Cubs opened up at minus 122. They're down to minus 105. And now the Reds are actually favored in this game. 31% of the tickets, 46% of the money, 15% sharp action is on the Reds. Although the run line is still in favor of the Cubs. So at the plus 1.5 for the Reds, 71% of the tickets, 99% of the money, 28% sharp action likes the plus 1.5. We got a very high total here at 10. 51% of the tickets, 96% of the money, 45% sharp action likes the over. This is a very high total at 10 runs for a team like the Reds that has trouble scoring runs. So something very interesting to take note of. The Reds are terrible at scoring a lot of runs, but why did they set this total at 10? There's a very good chance that this game will go over the total. Let's check over here on my other numbers here. On the Cubs side, 68% of the tickets, 51% of the money likes the Cubs. Total at 10. 57% of the bets and only 36% of the money is on the over. Something to keep track of. Like I said, I think this game might go over the total. Same time, this is at 7:15 Eastern. Braves at Cardinals. The Braves open up at minus 120. They're down to minus 108, and the Cardinals are now favored at minus 112. 21% of the tickets, 82% of the money, 61% sharp action likes the Cardinals. Although the Braves are still at -1.5, but on the +1.5 side for the Cardinals, 68% of the tickets, 99% of the money, 31% sharp action likes that +1.5. Total went from 8.5 to 8. 68% of the tickets, 72% of the money, 4% sharp action likes the under. Over on this side, Braves at 68% of the tickets, 59% of the money likes the Braves. And on the total, 52% of the tickets and 65% of the money like the over, although we've had the total drop. All right, have a good day, Jamie. Yeah, I don't know Robert Barnes, but give him a shout out for me when you're over there. So have a great day, Jamie. And I know it's a tough day or a tough night in sports tonight. You got this big UFC action going on tonight, and then they put the World Cup on the same time. I don't think many people are going to be watching the World Cup tonight. They're going to be watching the UFC tonight, especially with McGregor going against Conaway. Next game here. This one starts at 8:30 Eastern. Toronto Blue Jays at the San Diego Padres. I said something about Bieber yesterday. I said Bieber's probably going to have a great game last night because he had been getting lit up. And what did he do? He had a great game last night. Only 2 runs given up. So, yeah, Bieber was on point last night. The Blue Jays opened up at +104. They're at -107 now. 63% of the tickets, 99% of the money, 36% sharp action likes the Blue Jays. We've had a flip here from 1.5. The Blue Jays opened up at +1.5. They're now -1.5, but they like the Padres at +1.5 at 35% of the tickets, 66% of the money, 31% sharp action likes the +1.5. Total sits at 8. Tickets are split at 50, but we have 74% of the money and 24% sharp action likes the over. Again, the Padres ballpark is hard to score a lot of runs in. It's similar to the Giants park, where these are pitcher-friendly parks, and most games in these 2 parks tend to go under the total. So something to take note of. Blue Jays, 81% of the tickets, 80% of the money likes the Blue Jays again. As for the total at 8, 73% of the tickets, 96% of the money likes the over. This is, I think, a game that's going to go under the total. Do you like any team total runs today? You know what? I haven't been doing too well on team totals. I think I've been because this is the first time for me doing team totals, and it just seems like Grass Guy's going to join in, so I'm going to add him to the stream right now. What's up, bud?
What's up, man? How are you? Just walked in the door.
Phone's on. I can't hear you. All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, there we go. Hey, appreciate you jumping in here.
Yeah, I just walked in the door.
Awesome. We just went over the Blue Jays and the Padres. I don't know if you heard anything last night. I had the under in that game last night, which was great because this was a game I was just explaining to the chat where a bunch of runs were put up on the Blue Jays early in the game. I thought that game was going to go over the total, and there weren't any more runs scored in that game last night. So it went under 8.5 runs with ease because the final was 5-2. So, yeah, this game here, I lean the under. I know a lot can happen between now and when this game starts. I already put a play in on this morning's game. I don't know if you heard that already. I actually still had it in Kalshi since the game was rained out. My bet was still lingering in there. So I never cashed out. So it's still in there for this first game with the Brewers and the Pirates. I'm probably going to have another game going on here this morning. I'm looking at a WNBA game again. Since I went 2-0 last night, I did a live bet on one game, and one game I actually posted, and that game soared over the total. And obviously the Canadian football game, I don't know if you jumped on the Blue Bombers last night with Winnipeg. That was an easy win. They won the game outright.
I completely forgot about that bet, and I wanted to. I had it circled, and I forgot. It pissed me off.
Well, what's nice is that the line was at +2, but on Kalshi, I only could take it at +3.5. It wasn't even needed.
Oh.
Because they won the game. They won the game out, and another game went under the total. So I think the odds makers are adjusting these totals right now. Where the totals right now are getting split between the overs and unders. I know tonight's total set around 60 or 60 and a half. So tonight's game may go over the total since we went under last night. So I'm going to be looking at that game. I'm also leaning Calgary right now. I know we got quite a while before that game starts, and a lot can change between then. So I'm still looking at that game right now. I got WNBA play probably going this morning too. So let's go on to the next game here. This is the game that totally changed last night. In fact, this is the last game on the card. I jumped on the Diamondbacks live betting last night, and that came out a winner, and also soared over the total. 12 runs scored because
I took over total in it.
Yeah, Otani's out for a while with some knee injury. He's not even playing in the All-Star game. So this is the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers again. I believe Yamamoto's pitching tonight, so we've got a very high run line. Went from minus 277 to minus 283. 95% of the tickets, 97% of the money, 2% sharp action likes the Dodgers. Interesting here, I'll when I get to it. The run line, they like the Dodgers too at minus 1.5. 87% of the bets, 94% of the money, 7% sharp action likes the minus 1.5. Another interesting, very high total with Yamamoto pitching. The total sits at 9. 35% of the tickets, 57% of the money, 22% sharp action likes the over. I find this game very interesting because of that total. Let's go over to my other site here. 71% of the tickets, but only 66% of the money likes the Dodgers. The total at 9, 54% of the tickets, 75% of the money likes the over. I actually like the over in this game as well. I think maybe, just maybe, the Dodgers could put up some runs tonight. I don't know, but this seems like a very high total with Yamamoto on the mound. I can't see him giving up that many runs. I know he gave up a few runs the last time he pitched. So either both Otani and Yamamoto are getting figured out, and teams are being able to start to hit and put runs on these guys. But I don't like that money line at all. I would never lay minus 283. The only play in this game, if you were going to bet this game on the side, would be to take the plus 1.5. I mean, it's stupid to take that. Or if you got the cojones to take the minus 1.5 on the Dodgers, but I would never lay minus 1.5 on the Dodgers.
I think you would have to take the 2.5. I think.
Yeah.
In order to get any value, you would have to take 2.5.
Yeah, Ed was asking me if I like any team totals, and I told him I haven't been doing too well on the team totals, so I'm probably going to lay off those team totals for a while. I'm just going to use them as a guide when I put money down on some of these sides or totals. I mean, obviously people know that I prefer totals just because especially in basketball, I love totals because the games go back and forth the whole time. You can have a team losing and then come back and win the game when it comes to the spread. On totals, there's no going back. It's just going to keep going. The number's just going to keep going up. And you just want to stay under a certain number, where it's a little easier. I did very well last year in the NBA on totals. So
yeah, we did.
In fact, I ended the NBA season at 57%. So the totals are where it's at when it comes to basketball. Even in the WNBA, you still have the same thing as the games go back and forth. So the totals are where it's at in those two sports. That does it for our rundown of Major League Baseball. That was the last game. You guys got any? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Grass. Give me your opinion on something.
Well, you mentioned the over is high, and you're right. Arizona's pitcher over a 5 ERA, the under minus 118, and both teams with plus overs.
Yeah,
I have a feeling thinking this is an over spot.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and it's very interesting, especially on the Dodgers over 5.5. It's only a plus 106. But it's heavily juiced to the under at minus 124. Right. But that plus 106 is intriguing because I could see the Dodgers putting up 6 runs easy. Now on the other side, that 3.5 is at plus 115, but I could see this game going under that for the 3.5. So if you do the math there, you're right at 9, but the Dodgers could have put up 7 runs here, and this game goes over the total.
Could.
So yeah, that's why I lean the over. I know it's juiced to the under, but we're going to see some fluctuation in that line. There's actually value on that Dodgers at -1.5, -123, but that +1.5 at +111 is also enticing.
Grifter has a question. Would you ever money line a game as part of a parlay? Only if you're getting plus with
Yeah,
a parlay. That's the only 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah,
that you're spending plus money. I would say yeah.
yeah. That's the only time you take these large run lines or money lines is in a parlay. Never lay that kind of money on a team, because more times than not, if you do that consistently, laying heavy juice, you will lose.
Yeah, and all you got to do is lose one of them to erase your 4 or 5 winners that you had at least. So yeah, you don't want them fuck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean there are guys in Vegas that do it, but they also have very large bankrolls. These guys have probably about 500 grand in their bankrolls, and then they'll lay that heavy. They'll lay all that money on a heavily favored team.
Yep.
Yep.
Winners, because you're not winning shit when you're betting. You're thinking it's guaranteed money, and maybe if you're going to lose a lot more than winning the other 8, that's for sure.
Yep, exactly. Just like tonight's fight. I mean, who's going to lay -500 on Callaway? I mean, he's at -500 against McGregor. Who's going to lay -500? I mean, there's other options in that fight. I actually think there's better options. I actually think there's better options in the fight tonight on the undercard.
Yeah.
If you look at the undercard, there's some better options on that fight tonight. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be laying anything on that fight tonight. I may just watch. I was telling the chat earlier, the scheduling is terrible tonight because you've got the Argentina playing Switzerland tonight at the same time the UFC event's going on. Where do you think the viewership's going to be? They're going to be watching the UFC tonight. I mean, I would think they might have. You think so? Even with McGregor and Conway fighting,
I think the main card. I think most of the guys want to see McGregor again. That's my opinion. I'm not big on that sport, watching it or anything, so I don't know. But I'm thinking if that game's over before, you're going to get seats. That's just my opinion. Or in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, I mean,
like scheduling, sure.
Yeah, somebody in the chat says the family man says you're a little choppy, and your images are a little choppy too. You're kind of like freeze framing when you're talking. But I can hear you. I can hear you fine. It's more your images.
Oh, sorry guys. I can back out if you want me to.
Okay, we're done with baseball for now. We don't got anything else going on, I'm going to jump over here to the lone Canadian Football League game tonight. Let's see. I don't have a total shown right now, but Montreal on the money line opened up at -218. They're down to -198. 67% of the tickets, 93% of the money, 26% sharp action, likes the Alouettes on the money line. As for Calgary Stampeders at +3.5, 13% of the tickets, 90% of the money, 77% sharp action, likes Calgary tonight. Very interesting there. We have a lot of sharp action taking the dog tonight. Now this game doesn't start till 7 Eastern. I'm going to keep watch on this game because right now I lean Calgary plus the points. And let me jump over here. I'm going to look at.
I might sprinkle on the money line. That money.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at what's going on over here on Pinnacle. The total sits at 62. It's juiced to Calgary right now at -110. Montreal is at -104, and it's slightly juiced to the over at -110. Here's our team totals for this game. Calgary at 28.5 to the over is at -118. Montreal 33.5 to the over is at -118. So do the math there. That's over the total. You got 34 and 29. That's 63 points. I think tonight's game is going to go over the total. So that's some early leans on that game tonight. I did say there is, I believe, 3 WNBA games tonight. You know, we're not being shown here on our one site here, but there is some money to be made if you follow the Summer League in the NBA. And I was actually keeping track of some of those games last night. Just kind of penciling in some games. Some of them came through last night. Let's go over this first WNBA game tonight, today, that starts in about 45 minutes. The Liberty at the Lynx. The Liberty opened up, or the Lynx opened up at minus 155. They're down to minus 198. But what's interesting here, 43% of the tickets, 78% of the money, 35% sharp action likes the Liberty here at plus 164. The spread opened up at minus 3.5 up to minus 4.5, but we have 53% of the tickets, 87% of the money, and 34% sharp action likes the Liberty at plus 4.5. Very interesting here. Now the total, I've been finding something with these totals. When they drop, it doesn't necessarily mean anything because they're dropping because of where the money's at. But here, let me give you a strong indication here. The total opened up at 174.5 down to 173.5. 13% of the bets or tickets, 81% of the money, 68% sharp action likes the over. On the under, 88% of the tickets, 19% of the money likes the under. I actually lean the over here, and I did a little look here on team totals for this game. And here we go for the team total. Now, it's slightly juiced to the under at minus 112, but the team totals are all juiced to the over. 84.5 for the Liberty, minus 112. 88.5 for the Lynx at minus 120. So you do the math there, 85, 89, 174 over the total. So yeah, I lean the over in this game. I may have some action in on this game, but that's it for that game. I think there's just 2 more games. This game doesn't start till 4 o'clock Eastern. We have the is it the Portland Fire? I think that's their handle here. Let me get to that game. Yeah, Portland Fire against the Atlanta Dream. The Dream opened up at minus 600. They're down up to minus 900. 88% of the tickets, 63% of the money is taken the minus 900. Stupid.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. Come on. I don't have a total for this game, though, for some reason.
No.
But or on this side, I don't have a total. But the spread is at 12.5 up to 13.5. 69% of the tickets, 32% of the money. We have 37% sharp action taking the dog. I think the dog is actually the only play here. Team total for the Fire at plus 13.5, under 80 at minus 114. Dream at minus 113, 93 to the over.
They're all juiced both ways.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to have to get going after this last game. I just got a phone call. My son needs my help. Okay, so last game here, the Phoenix Mercury against the Vegas Aces. The total or the spread went from minus 440 to up to minus 470. 93% of the tickets, 46% of the money likes the Aces on the money line. Again, ridiculous. Total sits at 9.5. 71% of the tickets, 53% of the money likes the minus 9.5. We have 18% sharp action taking the plus 1.5. Total went from 171.5 down to 169.5. 25% of the tickets, 63% of the money, 38% sharp action likes the over. Again, this game doesn't start till 6 Eastern. So that's your rundown today for today's card, guys. I got to wrap this up because my wife popped in here and said my son needs my help. So I've got to wrap it up right now, guys. I appreciate you coming in here, Grass Guy. Got any final thoughts before I close this stream up?
No. I did an well, the only thing I did last night, I did an alternate line parlay, like a combo, and so moved the points. And I cashed out because I was afraid that the Giants weren't going to score any more runs. And after I went to bed, they scored 6 more runs, and I would end up hitting the whole thing. But I cashed out for 3 times my money instead of 20 times my money. So I think these alternate lines move around if we're not sure. That's the only thing I really have to add, because I didn't get a chance to look at everything. I was just trying to when I was on the.
Yeah, always take advantage of live betting if you've got the predictive market, because you can find some value in there, especially when in some of these baseball games in late innings. You can find some tremendous value, especially like I did last night with the Rockies and the Giants, because the Rockies were down and I jumped on the Rockies and I wound up winning the game outright. So I wound up getting over 2-1 on my return. So that was very nice to have a very profitable day yesterday. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. There won't be any stream tomorrow. I don't have a free pick right now. I will have one later because I'm going to make a video for it, just because some of the action doesn't go off till a little bit later. I will make a standalone video here, so stay tuned for that. It'll be on YouTube and Rumble, and I'll post a link on my X channel. Appreciate you, Grass Guy, for popping in here. Didn't think you were coming in today, but I do appreciate it. Appreciate the guys.
You know that.
Yeah, nobody on the YouTube side. Everybody's on the Rumble side, so I appreciate the follows here. Again, you can find all my exclusive plays over on sportsconsultants.locals.com. Everything is transparent over there. And I got my bookkeeper, Jamie, to keep me on the up and up. So, because I have made granted, it happens. Sometimes I make a mistake and I won't put something in by accident because it's late or something like that. But thankful for Jamie for keeping a record of all that stuff. So everything's transparent over there. I try to get my plays in between 15 to 30 minutes before the game starts because I want to be able to find the best value on games. You guys know where to find me on all platforms. It goes to Win Sports. Again, appreciate Grass Guy coming here. Appreciate the chat. I got to get out of here because my son needs my help. All right. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you. And I'll have some more plays up a little later on my channel. Okay. We'll see you guys.